Are you thinking about buying your first home but can't decide between a resale HDB and a condo? In this video, I'm going to take you through the different pros and cons to help you decide. Let's assume that you have a budget of $1.2 million, and let's also assume that you don't want an EC. For this budget, you should be able to find a 2-bedder in the OCR, or if you really want a home in the city or city fringe, then most likely it will be a small unit like a studio or a 1-bedroom condo. In terms of leasehold, of course, with $1.2 million budget, it will be a 99-year leasehold condo. I don't think you can get a freehold at this price unless the location is really far-flung or the condo is very old. On the other hand, a $1.2 million budget can get you a 4-room or even 5-room resale HDB in mature areas that is close to the city. Let's discuss several aspects, starting with government regulation. If you buy a condo first, it will be more difficult to transition to HDB later on. Why? Because based on the current rule, any private property owner under the age of 55 needs to sit out for at least 15 months before they can enter the HDB market. This rule still applies even if you only own a shoebox studio apartment. If you want to apply for a BTO, the waiting time is even longer, which is 30 months. If you think, why would I want to upgrade? Well, retrenchment happens, divorce happens, traffic accident happens, severe health problems happen. The reality is, no one can tell you what will happen down the line. If you have a family member that you can stay with during those 15 to 30 months waiting time, great. But if you don't, then that will be an additional expense to rent. And remember that most landlords prefer a round number of years, so instead of renting for 15 months, you could end up having to rent for 2 years instead. On the other hand, if you buy an HDB first and decide that it's not for you, or if your career is going really well, then you could simply sell after the MOP and move on to condo later on. But let's say that even after what I just said, you still have this inkling feeling of wanting to buy a condo, then let's talk about the next factor to consider, which is size. In general, a 4-room HDB flat is usually just around 1,000 square foot, while a 5-room HDB flat is more than 1,100 square foot. If you buy a maisonette or jumbo flat, it's even bigger at 1,500 square foot or even more, depending on the year of build. Condos, on the other hand, well, a studio or a 1-bedroom condo in Tanjung Pagar area is about maybe 400 to 500 square foot. If you buy a 2-bedroom condo in Hougang area, it'll probably be around 600 to 700 square foot, but again, it also depends on the year of build. If you buy an older condo, typically the size would be bigger. But clearly, you'll get more space for your money if you buy an HDB. If you are single or a young couple, perhaps living in 1-bedroom apartment is doable. But if you have kids, or planning to have kids within several years' time, then you need to consider whether a 2-bedroom is too cramped or not. At the end of the day, size does matter. Now let's talk about the next factor, which is amenities. Typically, condos would have on-site facilities such as swimming pools, barbecue pits, gym, tennis court, function rooms, etc. There are even newer condos that have like karaoke rooms, co-working spaces, pools for pets, etc. Most condos will also have security guards unless you buy some small development that only relies on tap cards and no guard. HDB obviously doesn't have these facilities. They usually have a playground for kids and some outdoor gym, but that's pretty much it. The reality is, swimming in a public swimming pool doesn't have the same feel as swimming in your own condo's pool. Again, as stated upfront, we exclude EC from this discussion. But on the flip side, these facilities came at a cost. The maintenance fee for a 2-bedroom condo can be maybe around $300 per month, and they typically want to be paid on a quarterly basis. So pay maybe around $1,000 every 3 months. The maintenance fee amount can be higher if you live in the city center, or it can also be less in OCR, so it depends on the condo as well. HDB, on the other side, also has the service and conservancy charges that you need to pay to the town council every month, but the fee for a 4-room flat is usually under $100. If you foresee that you will often use the condo facilities, perhaps paying $1,000 per quarter is justifiable for you. But if you only swim like twice a year and you don't even like going to the condo gym because it's too small, or you don't like exercise, then it will feel like a waste of money. Speaking about money, let's discuss about potential profit. Many people see their homes as a form of investment as well. The hope is that you get to live in it and avoid paying rent. But after a certain amount of years, most people want to sell for a profit and get a new one. This is mostly because of the lease decay due to the 99-year leasehold status. Again, we are assuming that the budget is not sufficient for a freehold condo. In fact, an exit plan is something that you have to think about even before buying any property. According to an article published on the 99.co website, in the past 15 years, on average, condo prices have risen about 32%. On the other hand, although HDB prices also increasing, but the government released different cooling measures to ensure that HDB remains affordable for most households. Of course, you will always see million-dollar HDB flat transactions here and there, but the reality is that it's less than 2% of HDB transactions. If you pick the right unit, a condo has a chance of giving you a higher return on investment, but the total cost of ownership, such as the purchase price, plus the maintenance fee, plus property tax, plus agent commission, etc., is higher as well. HDB in general would be cheaper, although the absolute amount of profit might be lower, but remember that you can always invest the rest of your money in other forms such as stocks, precious metals, T-bills, etc. This can help to grow your wealth in a more diversified way. Let's use an example. Let's say instead of buying a $1.2 million 2-bedroom condo, you ended up buying a 4-room HDB resale flat for $800,000, which is cheaper than your max budget. That means you have some extra money to invest in other things instead of tying it up only to your property. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, prestige. I don't know why, but somehow in Singapore, some people think that living in a condo is more prestigious and that family and friends will respect them better or something, that somehow you will look cooler and more successful if you live in a condo. But you know what? I think it depends on what kind of condo as well. If you live in a 2,000 square foot penthouse condo in District 9 or District 10 or something, then yes, I think some people will think you are very accomplished. But those places will cost you more than $3 or even $4 million. And remember, at the beginning of the video, I already said that the assumption is that the budget is $1.2 million. If you ended up buying a small Mickey Mouse condo, do you honestly think they will be impressed? They would probably still be talking behind your back, you know. Granted, you can't change your family, but I think it will be more cost effective if you just hang out with different kinds of friends that don't judge you based on what you have. I don't know, that's just me. So, what should you buy? Resale HDB or a condo? Let's discuss several scenarios. Scenario number 1 is dual income couple. Let's say that both husband and wife are working professionals. If both jobs are stable, then thumbs up. If one of you is working in an industry that is more unstable or unpredictable, then the question is whether the income of the other person can pay the monthly mortgage comfortably just in case one of you gets fired. If the answer is yes, then it still makes sense to buy a condo. But if you foresee it will be a struggle to pay off the loan with single income, but you still want a condo facility, then perhaps you can consider buying an easy instead. Scenario number 2 is single above the age of 35. Let's say that you are a single professional above 35 years old. This means you actually have the option to either buy a condo, a resale HDB, or even a BTO if you want to. But let's say you don't want to wait for a BTO because it's too long, then the option is down to either a condo or a resale HDB. Unless you are a super high income earner, in most cases, you will be more prudent to buy a resale HDB flat. This way, you don't have to worry too much about potential retrenchment. If you buy a 4-room or 5-room HDB flat and willing to rent out the common bedrooms, you might even be able to stop working altogether and reach financial freedom. Just be a landlord full-time. Personally, I think there's nothing wrong if you want to buy either a condo or a resale HDB. But the most important thing is you have to buy based on what you need and what you can afford. You should never ever just buy something to impress other people. If you want to know how much salary you need to earn to be able to afford a condo, check the link down below as I have discussed it in another video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!